of Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and forwarding to the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7:30 p.m. tonight, Tuesday, June 19th. Please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Ms. Rosenberg? Here. Ms. Bell-Edler? Here. And Ms. Here. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Before we get to our many distinguished guests, we have one other distinguished guest. Mr. Blanchard, come on up. I have a proclamation to present to you. Mr. Blanchard is the founder and chairman of the Board of Trustees of Greenwood Gardens. Whereas the Greenwood Gardens Green Team has been named a winner of the 2018 New Jersey State Governor's Jefferson Awards for public service and was recognized at the awards ceremony held in Trenton on June 2nd, 2018. Whereas this annual awards program recognizes the extraordinary contribution of volunteers to nonprofit organizations throughout the Garden State. And whereas Greenwood Gardens recognizes that the Green Team is one of its greatest assets and submitted the nomination on their behalf, and without Greenwood's volunteers, it would be nearly impossible to maintain its gardens at a level that meets the expectations of the visiting public. And whereas the Green Team not only provides critical weekly garden maintenance, its members are integral to the completion of large-scale projects which would be virtually unachievable without their assistance. And whereas the service of the Green Team has made it possible for thousands of visitors to derive peace and inspiration by connecting with nature in the historic garden oasis known as Greenwood Gardens. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Millburn and on behalf of Millburn Township residents, we hereby congratulate the Greenwood Gardens Green Team and thank all members for their hard work and dedication to Greenwood Gardens.
Thank you so much. That's really a lovely recognition. But I'm not the one who should be up here. It should be all the members of the Green Team, our volunteers who are out working hard in the garden and doing all the basic necessary work. We were delayed in opening this year because of the major storms that occurred in March. We're still picking up our act, but as of Thursday this week, we will be open for the public. And we encourage anyone here who hasn't been, or even if you've already been, to come up and take a look at the landscape that is unfolding. We're proud to be in Millburn, and it'd be fun for you to see this sort of secreted away place. Thank you.
And now I'm going to ask Pete Gilfetter to confirm promotion and appointment of Todd Seabone.
I'd just like to thank the committee, the mayor, Mr. McDonald, for allowing the police department to make a new officer tonight. Also, we'll be promoting a sergeant tonight. Thank you for that. That helps greatly with our police department. So I'd like to present Todd Seabone. Todd is 38 years old. He resides in Chester with his wife Heidi and his 1-year-old son Grady. Todd graduated from West Morris Mendham High School in 1998. He attended the State University of New York in Delhi, the Morris County School of Technology, and Excelsior College. Todd serves in the U.S. Army active duty from 2009 until 2015. He's currently in the Army Reserves. Todd is a licensed plumber and has worked in the construction field since 2003. I would present Todd Seabone.
May I have a motion to approve Resolution 18166, which confirms the appointment of police officer Todd Seabone?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberberg?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Edlow?
Yes.
And Mayor Burton?
Yes.
Raise your hand. Say I, state your name.
I, Todd Seabone,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of sergeant
the duties of Sergeant
of the Millburn Township Police Department
Millburn Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Chief, now you want to talk about Gilbert Tavares?
I will.
Congratulations. Welcome to town.
All right, stand up. It's your moment. I'd like to present Officer Tavares to be promoted to sergeant. Officer Tavares is a graduate of Seton Hall Prep and attended NGIT. He began his career as a corrections officer for New Jersey Department of Corrections. Worked there for 3 years, and then he went to work for the Essex County Police Department, where he achieved the rank of detective. In 2007, Officer Tavares transferred to the Millburn Police Department. He's been with their department for the past 11 years. Officer Tavares has served as a field training officer and has received numerous awards and accommodations, including 2 life-saving awards. Officer Tavares will be assigned to Patrol Division as a sergeant, working the afternoon shift. He is joined by his parents Armando, Lucille, sister Shirley, and daughter Emily. Sergeant Tavares.
Almost Sergeant Tavares. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 18165, which confirms the promotion of Gilbert Tavares to sergeant?
So moved.
May I have a second? May I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Levy?
Yes.
Ms. Lieberberg?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Edlow?
Yes.
And Mayor Burton?
Yes. Congratulations, Sergeant Tavares.
Just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Gilbert Tavares,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of sergeant
the duties of Sergeant
of the Millburn Township Police Department
of the Millburn Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Chief Bill Fetter now has a presentation of Valor Awards.
I'd like to present some Valor Awards to an incident that happened on May 25th. I'll just give you a brief little description of what happened. It's a pretty serious call for our township. So the police department received a call that 2 victims had been threatened in a house on Parsonage Road with a long gun. two victims were met several blocks away on Highland Avenue by the police department. The victims stated that they had an argument with the suspect. They'd been threatened with a long gun and were screamed at to get out of the house. The victims ran out of the house, contacting us with their cell phone. The house on Parsons Hill Road was immediately surrounded by our officers. Many attempts were made to get the suspect to come out of the house using different methods, and he refused. While we were surrounding the house, the suspect could be seen walking around the house and ignoring all of our attempts to contact him. At this point, our emergency service unit was contacted, and they were there due to a barricaded suspect in the home. The homes on either side of the house were evacuated, and the street was closed. After several more attempts to contact the suspect, it was determined that he was refusing to exit the home. And the emergency service unit deployed 2 kinds of gas into the home, and the suspect ran out the front door where he was arrested. The suspect was charged with terroristic threats and possession of a weapon. Found inside the home was a BB gun, 1 rifle, and 2 loaded shotguns. The incident started at 10 p.m. and ended at approximately 5 a.m. without any injuries to the suspect or the officers. I just want to say how proud I am of the officers during this incident. It was very long and very strenuous at the time. I think everybody did a great job. We worked well together, and that's why I want to present everybody with the medal. Come up, stand up here, take a picture. During no apparent order, first officer is Officer Steve Nassim. Detective John Mendelson. Officer Alyssa Salemi. Officer Harsh Giambattista. Officer Michael Goldfarb. Officer Travis Giroux. Officer David Pinero. Officer Michael O'Neill. Officer Eric Racinos. Detective Christopher DeRosa. Detective Roberto Delgado. Sergeant Adam Norris. Sergeant Robert Kaiser. Officer Colin McMillan. Officer Matthew Witchles. Sergeant Jamal Pointer. And Sergeant Andrew Delucy. All right, let's squeeze in.
So gotta reach and face quite a bit.
Seriously,
All right.
thank you, Chief. And on behalf of the Township Committee and the residents of the Township of Millburn, we thank you for your hard work, for your efforts, and all that you do for us. And with that, I think we'll take a 3-minute break for, should any of you wish to go celebrate your promotion, your new assignment as police officers, your awards of valor, or your friends and coworkers. Why don't we do that? 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Back on the record. Okay, George, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor. I have some glossy magazines for each committee person. It's the Spirit of Essex Summer Edition, so all the events I've been talking about when I come to the meetings about summer concerts, CVs, it's all in this magazine. So I bought one for each committee person and brought extras as well. I'll also be dropping off this week information in a more compact format with events that have taken place throughout the county park system this summer for the residents that they can pick up on the desk in the first floor. Many events, summer park system is full swing, tons of stuff going on, a lot of it's covered in this magazine, but all the events are further broken down in the flyers I'll be dropping off. In particular, next month, an event I didn't mention last time is the Butterfly Tent Safari beginning on July 14th. That will take place at the Environmental Center. It starts at 2 o'clock for young children, but anybody can come. It's a suggested $2 donation, and it'll be all butterfly themed events in there.
And for those who don't know where the Environmental Center is, it's on?
It's up in Roseland.
Eagle Rock?
Yeah, it's on Eagle Rock. It's on the border of, yeah, it's tucked
It's
up
west of
there.
Eisenhower Park.
Correct.
And the date again, please?
It begins on July 14th.
Yeah.
And next month, I'll leave the magazines.
Perfect, thank you. Reports from the committee. Ms. Benjamin, Lieberberg.
I'm just happy to announce that we are tentatively set up a date, either July 11th or July 12th, for the first meeting of the ad hoc committee to address our public works facility. So we will be meeting. I'm grateful that we have many residents, 4 in fact, in addition to our township committee representatives as well as the members from town hall. Looking forward to our first meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Heglow?
It works. For the Environmental Commission, in 2015, Millburn signed a resolution to express opposition to the Pilgrim Pipeline. This was re-brought to our attention by a resident, Trish Kenlon, to the Environmental Commission, and later tonight we will be having a presentation to continue that, more information for everybody. The Commission has received a $900 grant from ANJAC, which is the Association of the New Jersey Environmental Commissions. This will be used for the planting of shrubs in the lower corner of the large grass field at Lackawanna and Essex Street. This will serve not only to beautify and update that corner, but more importantly, it will be a catch basin for water. Elizabeth Balaban, who's our commissioner in charge, has worked closely with Tom Doty of the Shade Tree for advice, his approval, and help with planting. Energy aggregation is still being looked at. The other communities have not passed their resolutions as of yet, but if this is not moved with the 7 communities, Millburn still has the ability to look into green energy aggregation on our own. Another project the Commission is working on is with Martha, our town engineer, to update the town's lighting ordinances. Beth Zoll, is our planning board liaison, noted that many applications that come to the planning board need variances for LED lighting. And this is now the new standard, and our lighting ordinance needs to be looked at and updated. And later, I will present to the Township Committee under new business an ordinance or resolution that will discuss banning the releasing of balloons in town. And that's it.
Thank you very much.
Ban the environment.
Deputy Mayor Rosenberg.
So the Senior Citizen Committee met on June 7th, and there was a great feeling of loss for our member, Yvette Levin, who passed away before the last meeting, and was always a nice presence at that meeting. Senior Citizen Group in our community is really a great resource that I wish more people knew about, and it's not open just to our community, but there's a senior citizen bus that'll take people on their errands. There's a lot of things that people don't realize and don't always take advantage. Take people to doctor's appointments, so there's a bus. The speaker from down the block came in, Elizabeth Stevens, the president. She said that down the block helped over 200 families stay in their homes. As you know, it's down the block month, so that was really nice. And that's the Senior Citizen Committee. The DMDA has launched its farmers market on Tuesdays from 2 to 7. And we've got some nice new vendors. We have hummus, we have pierogies, we have a lot going on. And hopefully people are spreading the word that the later hours will attract more people coming off the train. We had Millburn Live last Friday night, and we'll have it again on the 29th from 5 to 8. The town was bustling. There was some treats, including live music. There was an accordion player strolling along the restaurants and playing music for people who were eating. Some of the restaurants were kind of surprised and delighted once they realized that they weren't paying him. But it was nice. He was donating. And we hope more people will come. The evenings and the weekends, town has been bustling. It's really nice to see everybody taking advantage outside. That's it on mine.
Mr. Levy.
Cora Hartshorn Arboretum Committee met its final meeting for the spring and summer season. Again, we'll meet in September. This meeting was largely to reorganize certain committees, admit a new board member, discuss the population of the camps, which are filled, but with only a few, unfortunately, of Millburn attendees, and discuss certain fundraising aspects. The focus of the group will be to...
Would that preempt all of these local ordinances and say no pipelines here?
Well, that's a very interesting question that we've actually discussed. And in New Jersey with home rule, the belief is that the ordinances will trump the DEP permit. The DEP may provide the permit, but a municipality can say you can't put one here, and it just creates a legal fight. A lot of this is putting a lot of obstacles in the way of Pilgrim so that they realize that this is an impossible task for us to achieve, and we're not going to do it. PSE&G to date has not granted them permission for the reason that the route that they want to take along the PSE&G right-of-way is the exact right-of-way for the transcontinental gas pipeline. And you kind of don't want those two too close together.
This is speculative in many ways because this isn't even close to being approved in Albany. The Cuomo administration has voiced opposition to this. There's a million municipalities along the way that have voiced opposition to this.
Yeah.
So this is decades, perhaps, away from being realized to the extent it even makes its way, navigates its way through New York, right?
It could be, and that's very possible, and we're hoping that that is the case. Because if it is, then I think Pilgrim will realize that they're backers. They're backed by a firm called Metaxas, which is a venture capital firm that's putting money into this. And I think they would just say, this isn't worth the fight to continue doing this. When the original meetings were held, and a gentleman by the name of George Botches, who was an executive vice president for Pilgrim, he spoke in Madison, New Jersey at a town hall meeting, and at that time, this was back in 2015, they thought that they could have this done, approved, and in the ground and going by the end of 2018. And here we sit, and as you mentioned, it's going nowhere.
Right, so
but not dead.
There's no urgency in, let alone with Millburn, but for any Millburn, or for any New Jersey community to participate in any of this, because it's speculative whether it'll happen.
Yeah.
And even if it was approved in New York, And then, by the way, I professionally disagree with you that it doesn't trump local ordinances, but setting that aside, even if it was approved, we would have more than enough time to, we meaning Millburn and other townships, would have more than enough time to react. And nothing happens in 90 days that would be required to get this funding. So there's no urgency on any of this.
Right, right. And if you wanted to get into this group, you could get into the group at any time. So,
And now, one other question. The law firm, who is its client? Is it your borough?
It's
not
the-
all 11 of these.
it's the group as a whole.
So has an entity
So-
been formed?
Right, so
So an entity is formed,
what's the
and
name of that entity?
the Municipal Pipeline Group,
Inc.,
Inc.
LLC?
Yes, Inc.
Inc.
And so what we
So-
do,
So that firm's client is that Inc.
that is correct. And then the individual municipalities are billed by the law firm on a monthly basis as the retainers, $350 a month, which has now been suspended because of the money that we have in
And that,
store.
that Inc. has a board of directors and everyone has one seat on the board.
The individual municipalities each have a seat at the board, that's correct.
And the chairman of the board is?
The chairman of the board right now is Chatham. Anybody else?
I just want to remind the Township Committee and the residents that we did sign on in 2015 a resolution opposing it. So this would really be the next step if we want to really stand behind our opposition. And at this point, we would not be asking for money, but we're asking to make the commitment to say, yeah, we not only made a resolution to say we're against it, but to put our money where our mouth is.
Not being asked for money.
But not yet. They're not asking for a check yet. It's the commitment that if it has to come to be, we are willing to back it up with money.
What money? What amount of money? I mean, I don't think that that's what
Not
you're
as much
asking.
as a joint meeting.
Well, we arguably get something more out of the joint meeting.
Yes, you would.
Okay, so, but you're not, I understand that your borough committed $6,000, and it's a suggestion that other boroughs like Millburn should do the same. You're not here, there's no actual ask amount.
There's no ask amount, right? No.
And so you're really here to say, think about advancing some money, because that really commits you, that adds you as member 12 to the board.
That's correct, yes. But having, you know, like I mentioned before, if more and more municipalities come on board, we show Pilgrim that, hey, people don't want this.
And you show the state.
And you show the state, exactly.
Right.
Great, well, thank you very much. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll leave you my cards.
And there's extra copies of the presentation on the table for residents if they want.
All right, we have two other items of old business. One is the proposed chicken ordinance, and the other is the proposed amendment to building and house code. I haven't looked at the revisions to the chicken ordinance, so I'm not able to discuss it.
Of the changes from.
I actually want to live and digest
Okay.
that. But, you know, yeah,
They're not substantial to change the meaning of the ordinance.
Are you sure?
It looks like my scribble.
Chicken scratch. Well,
Okay, so it doesn't change the meaning or the essence of the ordinance, what we would like to see, right?
It did acknowledge chicken as pets, and I don't know that that was the right word.
Well, some people consider their chickens their pets.
Yeah, we had a lot of people here. I added that because we had half the people here, if not more, that were advocating on behalf of chickens, had them as pets.
Well, they don't,
Half?
not half. We only had, what's her name?
Savannah.
Savannah.
That wasn't
There was another,
She just said her kid liked holding them.
Yeah.
no, there was another, I don't want to say her name, but there was another person here who said that they kept them as pets, not for eggs.
No.
Yes. I'll tell you offline who it was.
The whole point is to get an egg a day from your chicken.
No, this other person said that they raised them the same way people raise pets.
You'll have to tell us offline, but irregardless of the fact, this has been bounced around now for many, many, many months. And I felt, and I, approached Jody that we need to bring this back for discussion to see how the other committee members feel about it. And Sam made a couple of changes, we discussed it with Kit, and the essence is there of what we want to achieve. So there are some rules in town if you want to have a chicken coop in your backyard. And it's pretty restrictive, it costs some dollars, and, how do you feel about it?
So both of you think that it would be appropriate to have limitations on chickens and limitations on residents who want to have rules and regulations for those who want to have chickens?
Correct.
Okay. I personally agree. I think that we should have those. I think for the residents who are next door neighbors to our chicken owners, I think it's fair to protect them, especially because there are, bad facts make bad laws. So you have chicken owners who are not good neighbors, and because of them, they have to protect their neighbors.
And when people ask us how many people own chickens in town, we have no idea because there is no ordinance, there's no licensing needed. So we will have an answer if it goes to that.
Right. So I think that we should perhaps at our next meeting do a first read, introduce the ordinance. Everyone can take one more go over of the ordinance, and since our next meeting is July 17th, so it's almost a month away. If anybody wants to make any other changes to the ordinance, do it within the next couple of weeks, and then we can circulate it and then have it ready for a first read at our July meeting. Okay, good? Okay. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for proposed amendment to building and housing code as built conditions. So we also got a proposed ordinance for that. I just had a couple of questions on that. A licensed land surveyor is the person who would determine the height of a building, the framing? And what about for lot coverage in that? That would be a survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is following up on the suggestion made by the Environmental Commission that to amend the code to confirm that when a structure is built, it actually is as described on the plans. It's the number of feet that it's supposed to be by way of setback. It's the height that it was supposed to be, and that's checked at the time before the structure is framed.
Right. Right. And yes, I believe, Mr. Levy, you had mentioned at the time we were discussing this that you wanted to make sure that the building department was okay with this?
Sounds like something I would ask for.
Yes, okay.
And actually, they are in favor of it, as is our town engineer.
Right. And then section 3, should that be praise or phase?
Yes, that should be correct.
Again, if there's no other comments, or are there any questions or comments about this particular item of business? So again, if everyone's okay with it, we should, with whatever type of correction, we can put it on for first read July 17th. Okay? And I think, and again, just as I mentioned last time, I know Mr. Lee here, you're not going to agree with me, but I do think we have to really think about what we want to do, if anything, about marijuana in town. I do believe that there's going to be passage of legislation very quickly, and whether or not this town wants to consider prohibiting the growing, the selling, the distribution, whatever it is, or not prohibiting it. but I think it's a discussion we have to have, and certainly a discussion that if we have members of the public who have an interest in this and they want to give us their 2 cents, it's something that once the legislation hits, towns will have a period of time within which to make a decision as to what it's going to do. But if they don't make a decision, then it will be deemed permitted. So I think that it's something we need to think about and discuss.
At the very least, I do think that proactively, if we require a distributor to have to go to the zoning board, at least gives us some layer of oversight.
I mean, whether it's a permitted use
Before
in
we-
the zone.
Before we decide whether it is or isn't, at least if we have,
But that's not fair to ask our zoning board to make that decision. That's not their job. It's our job to make that decision whether or not it's going to be allowed in the township. Well, where we allow it, is a different thing, where we allow it within the town if we decide to allow it. But the first question is, are we going to allow it at all?
Allow what?
Either the growing, the sale, the distribution, or any of them.
It occurs to me that we would need a council's opinion on the extent to which it's constitutional to pass such an ordinance.
Haven't some towns already
Yes.
done just that?
Chatham.
Okay, so what I said before is, the legislation as it's now pending is giving each municipality the option of opting out within a time frame. So that's the question.
But there's still a New Jersey state constitutional issue on these things, so before I would be willing to consider any ordinance on this, I would need to make sure it passed constitutional muster.
Okay, well, I'll leave that to you, but in the meantime, for those who are less concerned about the constitutionality of it, I still think it's a discussion we have to have.
Can we
So
get
it's
some,
only-
can we get some more information too on the financial aspect of it, in terms of, I don't think the municipality, if we were to agree, would see any of the money. Is that correct? You know?
Well, there's a whole issue with money in marijuana, because federally it's illegal. So you're talking about cash business, among other things. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues with marijuana, but, it's something that I don't think we can ignore.
May I suggest a committee to study it?
Sure. You want to be on the committee?
Sure.
Who wants to be the second on the committee?
Okay.
You'll sign up? Okay, we have a subcommittee.
Let me ask you a question. Since we do not currently have our ordinance in this town against a 24-hour operating business, would this be the time to possibly get that in discussion as well? Because if there is a marijuana dispensary, they might want to be open from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So we have an issue before town right now of students want to come in 24/7. So it's something that we might want to also have on the books.
Sure. I mean, certainly you can
Write an ordinance for that. How would I do that, Mayor?
You want to deal with.
Through zoning or
Is that an
planning?
board question?
Well, it can originate in either place. You can originate,
You can originate.
I can't hear.
too.
you can originate such an ordinance here, or you can ask the planning board to take a look at the issue.
That could go to the master plan, something that we don't want. That's tomorrow night's discussion, people should know.
But that's too specific to
All
tomorrow
right.
night. Yeah, that's actually, probably should come from here at this
Okay.
point, so the planning board can do its job with the master plan.
So maybe that's something we can start looking into.
Sure.
Banning 24 hours or
permitting it.
Permitting it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Is there any information that we should be reading to educate ourselves in terms of what other municipalities have done to address this marijuana?
Yeah, you're the only one I was in touch with
Yeah.
about that. The seminar, which I had mentioned the last time, was held a couple of weeks ago, so it's not available, but I've asked if we can get the materials, which includes ordinances, of which there was only, I think, one town that I've already passed an ordinance in anticipation of this becoming legal to allow it.
Morrison? Oh, to allow it?
Yeah.
Chatham.
No, against it. Chatham's against.
How about
But,
Maplewood or Montclair?
But anyway, and several of the passed ordinances against, but yes, I'm gonna pull together whatever I can find for you.
Okay.
And of course, the legislation. The one thing that was touched upon here, which did come up at this seminar, I know from talking to someone involved, was that irrespective of all of this, the federal government has apparently adopted a very light enforcement footprint to date, and with states that have allowed marijuana purchase, growing, distribution, they've kind of shied away from enforcing. But the current Attorney General did announce that there would be a zero tolerance enforcement on marijuana. So the federal government and the state government really have to get on the same page on this, and that's going to be a big case, because it won't much matter what the state does and what legislation it passes if the federal government is going to be involved in strict enforcement, but that's an issue for another day. I did want to raise it as a consideration for them.
Okay. Any other items of old business?
Yeah, just have a
Is it?
couple of course questions. Alex, have we gotten the results on the traffic study at Holmes and Essex?
No, not yet. I followed up with Basil.
Okay. How about cleaning out under the bridge next to the deli?
You circled back on that the other day. No, that has not. But I did circle back with the DPW as well.
Is there hold up for any reason?
Well, look, I mean, there's certainly things that they need to accomplish as well at this point in time after having to clean up and getting out and catch basins repaired, getting roads prepared for micro paving, things like that. But they are aware.
Right. Before a new storm hits and it gets clogged there. And my last thing is the speed bumps in South Mountain section will be installed when?
I would anticipate by the end of the summer.
Very exciting.
Really?
Just one of the things, our electronic signs, have you gotten the information
Yeah.
from Springfield and Livingston?
We have talked to Springfield. Their sign was donated by the Chamber of Commerce, so they don't have any information on their sign.
Okay.
They've asked us to reach out to the library, who also has an electronic sign, so we will be doing that. Livingston, they no longer, I think they're on their way out for a new sign, new specs. So we'll be in communication with them. But yeah, so I mean, it's slow going, but we have been reaching out.
We didn't discuss joint meeting. There's a joint meeting on July 19th, and our next meeting is July 17th. So as the representative, I may be asked to cast Millburn's vote on this issue. So I would need direction from the Township Committee on how to cast that vote.
Okay, so that's for discussion also on July 17th.
But if we don't reach a decision, if we don't reach an informal decision among us, then it would have to be set down for some kind of vote by the Township Committee, right? To decide what to do. Say there's a divide among the members of the Township Committee as to which way to cast that vote.
Well,
No.
there's 5 of us, so it'll be 3-2.
I know,
maybe,
but you
and
can't. But we would have to, I don't know that we can schedule a vote on that. What would be the instrument that causes that vote?
So that should mean it needs
Seeking, as the township representative, you're seeking the guidance of the township committee as to how you should vote, and that comes up at the joint meeting.
It could come up
And-
July 19, yes.
19th, and the next meeting here is the 17th.
Yeah.
So,
Is that required to vote, or is that a consensus?
well, I think we want to take a vote.
Yeah, we want to take a vote, but so what would,
So then I
clear guidance.
think you have a motion.
Yeah, motion
A motion.
to authorize
Yeah.
Mr. Ruby to cast a vote.
do we need a resolution for that?
I don't believe so, but we could do that to be super
I mean, this is a-
belts and suspenders.
This
Well,
is
but
a
you're not gonna
$4.7 million spend, we may want it to be memorialized in more than an motion. I leave it to council to give us direction on that.
My suggestion then would be that resolution in favor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how the vote's gonna go, right? So do we have two resolutions prepared?
I think if one gets defeated, he knows how to vote.
Well, I mean, is it a resolution directing how to vote? That's
Well, no,
the
if it gets
question.
defeated, then I'm left with a decision on how to vote, because while I can assume the township voice has been heard on that, there's still no direction.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
I don't want to
Is there a
unilaterally,
vote?
I'm not going to
No.
unilaterally
My
cast a
question-
vote.
I understand that. My question is, since we're going to obviously take a vote, yea or nay,
We need I think we probably need two resolutions.
so that was my suggestion, two resolutions, one directing him to vote yes, and one directing him to vote no, and we'll see which one passes, and then we'll
Yeah, we just,
go that way.
the second one, if not needed, just won't be introduced. That's all.
Correct.
So I would prefer to have a resolution rather than a motion on this kind
And
of
your
spending.
motion,
Yes.
fair enough. Anything else? Yes.
What came up tonight when we were talking with the water company was that Essex Street is on the agenda, which is, being a one-way street, not an easy street to block off. And I know we were still talking about no left, giving back the left turn on Essex. Can we address that before we lose the whole street?
When is Essex looks like it's going to, next year, I thought,
Yeah, it
no?
was next year. They
It was
haven't
on the
brought-
18th.
They haven't brought it to my attention at this point.
But again, last time they brought it to your attention a week before, and then we
That's true.
closed down on Short Hills
Right,
Road.
you know,
We-
let's circle back with them.
Let's
I'll put them on the I did write it down.
please find out about that. But we also brought up giving back the left on Essex, and then
We haven't forgotten that. I have to meet with Maurice.
do we have any kind of engaged expert opinion on it?
We may,
But did he give us anything yet? Okay. And my other one was the dog,
so, that was on my plate. So.
I can't think of the second word.
Whatever it's called.
The
dog shelter.
Sonali,
Yes,
The kennel?
yeah, actually.
the kennel.
So because of God knows what, there's questions as to ownership of the streets. And we've gotten quitclaim deeds from everyone but New Jersey American. So, wrong department. So I've been playing phone tag with the in-house counsel. And so it's my turn to call him and see what, and once we get that quitclaim deed, we can start. We'll get to the next
You're on
level.
it.
I'm on it.
Okay.
So that's with respect to this.
Canoe Brook.
Canoe Brook Animal Shelter.
Right. The
Shelter.
shelter, thinner in the way, animal shelter.
Would that be the official name?
It is.
Oh.
Well, no,
Oh.
it's the official name of the street.
But it would be the Finneran Animal Shelter
That I
as well.
don't know. That I don't know. Anything else? No, that's it. All right, well, your guys are up. Okay. Public discussion. When invited to speak, come up to the lectern, state your name clearly, your address, speaking to the podium microphone, so your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever you read or speak from a written statement, please give or email a copy to the township clerk's office at c.d@millburntwp.org. You're each asked not to speak for more than 3 minutes. And does any member of the public have any comments? Yes, please.
Thank you. Beatrix Shear, 101 Oakview Terrace, Short Hills. I'd just like to know what is the news on the Builders Remedy lawsuit and the affordable housing plan?
Okay, so.
What's going on?
Well, whatever has been filed publicly has been filed publicly, and I don't really think that much else is going on at the moment. We've had a special master appointed, right? And that's about as far as I mean, it's a brand new lawsuit, so.
Are there negotiations going on or not at this point? I'm just asking.
We haven't met.
Oh,
Our committee.
oh, your committee hasn't?
No, our committee has not met.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And what was the other question?
Oh, the affordable housing plan, but I assume the answer there is
The
the same.
affordable housing plan was approved by the planning board, so. not-
Yes, no, I mean, but it
It's the
has to
same,
be.
it's all related.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Barry Tornick, 38 Meadowbrook Road, Short Hills.
Welcome back.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the committee for taking up the chicken issue. We certainly appreciate that, especially Ms. Rosenberg and Ms. Seabone, who are personally involved, and Mr. McDonald was also helpful in that. I guess you provided some input into what you came up with. The last we heard about this was the minutes from the February meeting, and I guess we're wondering whether a copy of whatever it is you drafted is available, or what the process is going to be.
Yeah, well, we wanted.
That'll be for the first meeting, for the first reading?
Well, we haven't done a first reading. The first
I know.
reading will be in July.
July, right.
Right.
That's when it'll be available?
That's when it will be available. And then there'll be public discussion at our August meeting.
Okay.
So we do a first reading.
Yeah.
No public discussion.
Right.
And then at the second reading, when it's up for adoption,
Okay.
will be when we'll have public discussion.
Okay, that's July and then August?
But I
is that-
think, yes, it's July and August. Usually it's 30 days apart. And we just have one meeting in July and one meeting in August.
Yeah. good.
And will the ordinance be available for the flyer? We should, right?
No.
Not for the first reading.
But it'll be posted on the website.
Right.
After the first reading, and will be available to the
Okay, great, very good, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm back. Laney Rothbard, 49 Oval Road, Millburn. 3 items I wanted to mention. First of all, I walked in here 20 minutes after you began because this entire parking lot was full. There are only 2 dedicated handicap spots. Basically, all the way from Town Hall servicing up to the Millburn Deli. Those are the only 2 handicap spots available. Servicing how many merchants? 20 merchants, 30 merchants, in addition to the town hall. I came before you last year and requested that there be dedicated handicap spots on the street. I mean, 2 parking spaces is not enough. And, you know, I had to, and I didn't even get a handicap space now. I had to get, you know, handicap adjacent, as we call them, close enough where I could walk. But, you know, people who have difficulties cannot be expected to walk 3 blocks just to get somewhere where there are only 2 handicap spaces in this entire section of town. And that's unbelievable. So I do want to remind you that I had requested that last year, and it has not been addressed. As far as the Pilgrim Pipeline, I just wanted to make a comment that if this doesn't really affect our town in any way, other than how it may affect other people, I don't think that we should be committing monetary funds at this point, you know. And as far as the gambling, the marijuana, I kind of related to Mr. Levy's question about whether it be constitutional to opt in or opt out, because I'm reminded of the sports betting situation that was just overturned by the Supreme Court. States were offered the option of opting in or opting out of sports betting 20, 30, 40 years ago, and Governor Christie started the movement, and we now have sports betting here because the Supreme Court said if you're offering it to one, you have to offer it to all, pretty much. So just wanted to point that out, that Mr. Levy brought up a very good point as far as marijuana usage. Living in part of the year in Nevada, which has approved marijuana use, recreational use, I have never heard of any towns in all of Nevada or California or Oregon or Washington or Colorado who have opted out of allowing it. It's just all or nothing. Thank you.
Hi,
Dominic Borda, Lakeside Drive in Millburn. I just wanted to talk tonight about bicycles in the township, and the first thing I do need to do is give the township proper credit. The closure of Brookside Drive on Sundays is a great, unique opportunity throughout the region. Very appreciative of it. Many people use it. It's a great opportunity. I did want to talk tonight, though, that there's no bicycle lanes currently within the township. Even within the Phase 1 area of the Millburn Avenue, where the Complete Streets project was started and completed. This is a bit in conflict with the Complete Streets policy resolution that called out accommodations for bike lanes within the goals and objectives portion. The plans and presentations so far provided for public consumption of Phase 2 still have yet to address the issue and be presented within any of the diagrams. Throughout the township, there's little to no signage for motorists to either yield or share the road or do anything with bicyclists. Upon entering downtown from the west, from the high school, there is one bicycle diamond sign. It indicates that there's a warning that there might be bicyclists in the road, but it doesn't communicate anything else to the motorists that come through Millburn Avenue. I do urge the community to not just consider, but also help to implement any kind of planning for bicycle infrastructure throughout the township. Not just for the safety of the bicyclists, but also for the motorists. The bike lanes have been shown elsewhere in New Jersey, as well as the Mid-Atlantic region, to be successful for towns and municipalities. A well-designed bicycle roadway aims to reduce the risk of any types of accidents, as well as reduce liability. The street adjustments are easy to do. They're less wear and tear on the roadways. They provide a great avenue for exercise and a lower environmental footprint because it uses less gasoline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Heller, 56 Byron. Where have you been?
He was out biking.
Come back often, well said. Quick question. Livingston, I believe, last night passed an ordinance about vaping. Forget marijuana for the moment. It's a principal business. You can't just outlaw things. Either zoning, 24-hour, within 500 feet. We have a fast food ordinance that's still in effect that goes back many years. I'm sure you'll learn about that. But leave that aside. So vaping is something I get calls on that all the time, particularly in Maplewood and Montclair. But here too. DMDA. I'd like to ask some follow-ups. I'm a little surprised some follow-ups were not asked of Committeewoman Rosenberg. When you approved the budget earlier this year, DJ stood here and told you the next day he was going to go on Indeed and post a ad for a new director. Well, it didn't last very long. We're now 4 presidents into the DMDA since December. One was here tonight, he left earlier, David Sorkin. I believe there's at best 9 board members left out of 15 elected. I believe 2 more are leaving. The bylaws in the town's SID ordinance does deal and treat that. To give again the $100,000 at the end of June, I have our ordinance here. There's nothing in our ordinance that requires, after you voted the initial time, to turn those funds over to the DMDA. And to put bad money after bad is disinterest to the downtown business people, to the property owners, and it's going to come back to haunt a lot of people. It's not productive.
May I speak to that a minute?
Please.
As you know, I initially...
On your time.
I initially voted against refunding or the DMDA. And I was swayed by their persuasive arguments that they were going to run this thing and run it properly and help the downtown. And what I'm hearing is it's not happening. And I was going to actually ask Kit or Alex or Mayor in another time, but I will ask them publicly now, what are the accommodations to put the second payment in escrow? Since they don't seem to have any, I'm not hearing any plans of hiring an executive director. I don't know if there's ads out, Jody. I was going to ask you this, and I didn't get to it. What are their plans that we are going to release another $100,000 to them?
Okay, before we continue that discussion, let Mr. Heller finish his presentation.
If I may,
and then we can come back to address any of those.
Section 2, paragraph E, I'm not going to take my time unless we're going to have a discussion and not put the clock on me, but that paragraph, it doesn't compel the funding. Leave that aside. We don't have a director, there's no intent, not compelled to have a director or a vice director, but to run the DMDA, go out through the, I forget the number, I'm not going to quote the number, the DMDAs, there is somebody that's on paid staff. We don't have anybody on paid staff. All right. I'll leave that, that's for you, it's not a new subject, but there is no meeting between tonight and end of June, so I would just ask, as you didn't fund it at the time that it was requested or able to be made, put it off at least until your next meeting and perhaps have a discussion, or you may discuss it after I finish. Last and just very quick, for all of us, recycling, there's some big changes. So first question, ask you about shredding. We were shredding today. You're not allowed to put anything in a plastic bag. We're going to have shredded paper flying all over the town. Forget about balloons for the moment. I agree with you, and I sent some links out about the balloon, and I happen to agree predominantly. There are all sorts of issues with the changes in the ordinance and getting things out the street. Second item, just because I know from my own properties and from what I read in the newspaper, the recycling market has collapsed. China is not buying. We need to check here, because I know through some of my dumpster companies, we may not be getting our recycling recycled. We may be getting burned. So if we're not negotiating to get perhaps an adjustment in price, and also, by the way, if we're not able now to put plastic and all the other things into recycling, we're putting less weight in. So we should be paying less for the recycling to begin with, and that should be part of a business contract item. Second is to find out, environmentally speaking, what's happening to our recycling. Thank you.
The recycling has a lot of issues right now. Right. Yeah. So
But from a cost
yeah,
side.
not only on the cost, but is it worth it?
And if I may, on this, to follow up on that, this is now, I don't know, maybe the fifth council, a lot of years. A lot of businesses in the town, Alex is very aware of this, are still getting their trash picked up for free, including the Strata and many others. It shouldn't be, and it's unfair to everybody else in the town, downtown, and it's some thousands of dollars that it's costing the town to do this. And it shouldn't be anymore. It's not fair to do it, and it's been promised to be addressed, and it hasn't been addressed. Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Howell. On the DMDA, I understand your position that there's some acrimony with the board, and there's no executive director and all that stuff. That's one issue. But is the DMDA itself performing? So there might be acrimony with the board and the directors, et cetera, but is it still performing? Is it still doing what it's supposed to be doing, even if with limited staff, in your view?
First, I support a DMDA.
I know you said that.
Okay. This board, this DMDA, no. I think Jackie is very active on the farmers market. David Sorkin through marketing, there's a place to do the couple of Friday nights that we're doing. There are places to do activities. There is no place for this board to be spending $200,000 of taxpayer money.
No,
It's not productive.
For me, that's a separate issue
It's
about
not
how
productive.
they're spending the money.
It's not productive. There's nothing.
But my question is, many boards have dysfunction and still perform, okay?
Agreed.
And so, and some thrive on dysfunction and still perform. So is this I'm not saying is this an example of one of them, but is this board still performing despite whatever dysfunction may exist?
The mission statement when the DMDA was created back in 91, 92, 93, when the malls were taking over and the downtowns were on decline, movie theaters were closing, multiplexes took over for the singleplex, was to change the focus of downtowns and traffic and parking and redevelopment. The train didn't come until 96, but that was the start. So we are doing nothing more than basically moving around the deck chairs on the Titanic right now and marketing and doing some sorts of things. We haven't addressed whether which is good or bad. Not going there. Whether good or bad, we're not addressing the changes. And the fact that all of us that are coming out to meetings for the last 2 years, there's been a substantial change in the way that business and the internet, we're not addressing the larger, greater picture, which I think you're starting to address in redevelopment, perhaps the recycling yard, and the larger picture. The DMDA is down here, and other DMDAs, special improvement districts, are out here helping to guide the township committees, because you can't do everything.
All right, let me ask the question differently. In your view, is the DMDA's board performing at or about the same level as it has for the last 2 years? And I understand you've been challenging its performance for a fair period of time. So with this recent dysfunction, as you described, as you characterize, is it still performing substantially in the same way?
It's not. There's about 3 people involved. There used to be 7, 8, 9 people involved. There's about, separate from Alex and Jody, there's 3 active members, maybe 4.
But fewer can still perform the same way.
I'll beg to differ. There are 15 people in subcommittees and all sorts of other functions that the DMDA would be doing. There is no possible way, and it's not happening. David, nice gentleman, does marketing. Nancy Stone is doing whatever Nancy Stone does. There's 2 other people that are actively involved. One is rewriting the bylaws, a nice resident. There's nobody else. And I think Jerry wants to speak. Or not.
I'll wait till. I mean, we have a weak DMVA, there is no question about that.
I'm not suggesting taking the money away. I'm
Well,
suggesting,
But in my opinion, you are. In my opinion, you are because you don't want to fund this DMVA. As we discussed when we funded them, we said we're going to look at them towards, in September. Where have they been? What have they done? And we're going to take a hard look at the DMVA and see whether or not the DMVA, as it is existing, as it is created, if it performs the functions. We agreed to fund them this year. In my opinion, we fund them this year. We let them do it, and if that doesn't work, then maybe we take a hard look as to whether or not we have a DMVA. And maybe we have to relook at it and say, okay, this DMVA doesn't work. Maybe something else has to happen. You can't have it both ways. If you want the DMVA to be in the, as you picture it, as you think it should work, you should be on that board. I told you that once before.
Mayor,
No.
they have not made one appointment since this board was elected. Of the 6 or 7, 5, there's not been one volunteer, not one appointment looked to be made, or if they had tried to make it, no one wants to be a part of it. So if you want to go to the Rodney Dangerfield thing, anything wants to be a part of it, nobody wants to be a part of it. And it's a declining membership, and it's about to go down to 2 more people. So you have the ability to change on the fly, the same way that you did say that then, and the same way Committeewoman Iglo said that, hey, perhaps, I'm not using her word, a mistake, you have the ability to change that, to perhaps put it on hold, to bring the DMDA in again, and ask them, hey, what happened to all those things that you guys promised us? Not wait until January.
Well, wait a minute. The people who promised it are resigned. So now we have a whole different bunch of people in there. And so it's simply unfair to not let them try to do what they want to do. And I'm not willing to do, me personally, not willing to do that.
I beg to differ, and
I
I'll leave that
understand.
for your discussion. Thank you.
Well, would they make a presentation again like they did last time?
Well, I wanted them to come in September and let us know, A, what they've done, what they're doing, and why we should continue it.
This is September coming up.
Yeah.
Then they're all going to get the money.
Yes, they are. We promised them the money. That's my opinion.
Well, I'm just giving them half instead of the whole thing. I mean, we keep giving them money, and they keep showing their dysfunction.
But you say yes, they are. I mean, it's a question perhaps
Right.
of whether they are. I mean,
Okay.
this committee gets to decide.
Absolutely.
And well, I didn't get the answer from Mr. Heller that I expected. An answer. My view of it is, are they still performing? Dysfunction
Well,
aside,
that
are they
depends
still
on-
performing?
But what's your definition of performance? Mr. Heller's definition of performance might be different than their definition of performance. So I don't even know how you answer that question without having a definition of performance.
Well, mission statement. Have they ever come up with a mission statement saying what they intend? So have they accomplished their mission since we refunded them?
I don't know.
I'm not asking Jody.
Would you like my current view?
Yes.
Yes.
So currently, due to many business owners and property owners who have made it very difficult for the original board to actually even do their job, and it's very hard for them to even get their work done. Then we had a new president come in, another who then resigned. So it's kind of interesting how it's being characterized, yet I would say, from having read a lot of emails and kept my eyes on this the whole year, there's a lot of bullying going on of the people who are volunteering to do their job. So it's very hard for people to volunteer, but it's theirs to lose. So I am watching them, and if they, they should be spending money on an executive director. I know David's meeting with somebody tomorrow. They should, because like I told Jackie earlier, if they don't use their budget, I think they're trying to save money and do things themselves. It's not so I'm trying, I'm trying to be hands-on and hands-off as much as they want. But they are functioning in that there is a design review committee. And when new businesses come to town and they have to look at signage, we have an architect on the board who's doing the sign review. It would be nice if more people helped, but they're not. It would be nice if we had more business owners that were more involved instead of just commenting on bylaws and other things, and get more involved in actually events and other things that they said they would do. They have been doing some events. Granted, there's a few people trying to pull it together, but they're doing it. There was a great event. There's more people coming to town. The evidence is out there that people are coming to town. So could it do better? Of course.
Just say things. You just can't say things.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking right now. Sure, but if you're asking my view, right now it's theirs to lose, and I'll keep guiding them as much as they need. But they're following their bylaws, they're as they are right now, and they're doing what they can. It would be nice if more people could step up instead of just criticizing.
I mean, from my perspective, it's just mine, I need all these inputs, because we have a lot of people who challenge the direction of the bid and speak to its dysfunction and all that stuff. They never seem to show up and defend themselves, which leads me to believe that they're either indifferent or the challenges are being portrayed accurately, both of which are damaging, in my view, to the continuation of the bid. So I would suggest that to the extent that anyone's paying attention to our comments today from the bid, that they do show up and start defending what it is they're doing and what's going on with the board, and that they continue to perform, and that everything that was said to us to cause the Township Committee to continue to fund them is being delivered. Not unlike any other organization that goes to an outside organization or a township to receive funding. You have to defend what you're doing with the funds. There's a committee that takes a look at that, and you have to present what it is you're doing without any expectation that that funding will just naturally continue, in my view.
So when are those funds intended to be released?
Well, there's a second half letter that goes out to the property owners, so I'll have to check with the tax collector exactly when that will go out.
So, no, but do you know when you're expected to release that to the DMDA? Is it June 1st, July 1st, August?
I believe it is actually September.
Oh, so it's September. So they do have time to come in and make a couple of presentations and fill us in like they did last year. They come in the July meeting.
Again, and this would be, and just to let the committee know that if the money is, if you release the money when it is received.
I'm sorry, say that again.
If you release the money when it is received, again, you can float that money, but the money will be received by a certain date, which will be determined by the letter that's sent to the property owner, and that's when you release it.
When did we release the first?
The first was in April.
Okay.
And when is the second?
You just said.
But you said it was June. Someone said it was
People keep throwing that around. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Okay.
I will get the committee the exact information.
So why don't we have the DMDA come to our July meeting? Funds will be on by now.
And they can tell us what they've accomplished, what they plan to accomplish.
July
Absolutely.
17th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll have the same board.
It'd be interesting to see the president on that.
It's, again, it's theirs to lose.
Absolutely. That's the whole downtown's to lose.
So you have another meeting with them, they have another DMDA meeting before July 17th? So they will be asked to present, Kurt would be great.
We're being asked now.
Right, but they, unless
Publicly
they're
asked now to show
watching,
up.
All right,
Okay, cool.
we should have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Second, or no?
You can never win.